So welcome to Yoga Life. My name's Lisa, and this will be a 60-minute flow class. Can I just have a thumbs up to confirm that everyone can hear me? Okay, great, great. So if you have a block or some kind of prop, you might like to sit yourself up. So part of my essential self-care routine right now includes immersing myself in as much good news stories as possible, because there's so much that we're reading and seeing that for me just makes my heart kind of contract and feel really sad and heavy. It's so important to balance that with hearing and reading about goodness in the world and people that are spreading kindness. And so yesterday in the news, I watched this little segment about a woman who started a project called 1,000 Hearts. And she started it a few years ago. And essentially she just makes these little felt hearts and sends them out to people that are going through a hard time. And it started to spread, and she has now, I think, 7,000 people that make these hearts. And the idea was sending these hearts as a message of comfort and hope and love and compassion. And the people receiving the hearts just said that, going through a hard time, it meant so much to know that people cared. And that's what these hearts started to symbolize. And around the bushfires earlier this year, this woman who started it shared that she started to have a bit of a crisis of confidence, because she felt like, there's so much suffering right now. How can a little felt heart make any difference to the magnitude of what's going on? And in this interview yesterday, they showed a bushfire survivor who had lost everything. And he shared that when he got this felt heart, it just meant so much to him, because he realized that he's not alone and there are people that care. They showed a volunteer firefighter who'd been in the front line during the bushfires, and she had the little felt heart in her pocket next to her heart. And she said, when she was out fighting the fires, to just feel this heart there and to know that people were with her and supporting her, it made such a difference. And I actually am part of the story, because I was given a felt heart. I don't know if you can guys see it, but about 2 years ago, one of my students after a class just said to me, "Can I give you a felt heart?" And I was so touched, and it actually sits on my meditation altar. But it was only yesterday when I heard this story that I realized this heart is part of the 1,000 Hearts project. And there's just something about, tapping into that collective that just feels so special. So that's going to be here in the practice. And so I share all of that just as a reminder that little small acts of kindness do make a difference. I don't know about you guys, but for me, sometimes I feel like the suffering in the world right now is so overwhelming. I'm like, what can I do? That, these little felt hearts, they're rippling out through the world and offering comfort and hope and love. And I think more than ever, that's what we need right now. Please close your eyes. I'm just going to take a half minute in meditation before we start to move. And you can be in a seat. You're also welcome to come and lie on your back. We're just finding a position that feels comfortable. So we just start to settle into the stillness together. Amidst the backdrop of stillness, beginning to notice the movement of breath now. Sensing the rising breath, feeling the falling breath, settling, soothing the body. And just continuing some rounds like that. And feel each in-breath soothing and nourishing body. And with the out-breath, a sense of settling and relaxing, a letting go. In these final moments of stillness, let there be a listening to the heart right now, and to your own heart. And if it would help you to contact more intimately your own heart, you could place one or both hands over your heart right now. And getting this sense like your heart could actually receive your breath now. As you keep that listening attention at your own heart, just notice right now what it is that your heart really longs for right now. What is it that your heart's wanting to experience? Perhaps it's to feel more peace, or love, or safety. Just noticing what is it that your heart really wishes for right now. We can deepen and widen that heart wish so that it can now be a wish for all beings, that all beings can experience more love, more peace, more connection. And we use our practice this morning to really deepen and invite that feeling through the whole of our body. If your hands are holding your heart very slowly, you can yield hands away from heart, returning them to lap or thighs. And then keeping the attention to your heart, you can let the eyes gently reopen. If you're using my playlist, you can now hit play on the playlist. That's it. You might like to change the cross of the legs or have the legs in any other kind of position. And please bring the hands to the knees. And then on an inhale, starting to arch the spine, let the heart lead you forwards. And then rounding on the exhale. So really leaning back, draw chin to chest. Again, inhale, rebending elbows, let the heart lead you forwards. As you exhale, round, back of heart taking you back. And let's just keep going like that. And see if you can feel, rather than the face initiating and leading the movement, you feel the space of the heart guiding you. So on your inhale, as you come forwards, front of heart leads. That's it. And on the exhale, back of heart drawing you into space behind you. You might be moving continuously. Perhaps as you start to enter into the body more closely, you notice places that feel kind of tight. Maybe you pause in certain places. Maybe you move a little from side to side. As you come across those hard edges, you're starting to sense the possibility of that softening. You can stay arching and rounding for as long as you like. At some point, you might start to move in circles with the spine. The hands stay to the knees as you now rotate the spine in and around the entire bowl of the pelvis. Really moving your attention down into the belly, the pelvis, feeling a golden-like liquidity moving through the whole lower body. And at some point, reversing as we now go some rounds in the other way. Yeah, that's it. Really pouring yourself into this. And then making the circle smaller and smaller until just for a moment we pause back into stillness. That's it. And now we'll come to a tabletop position over on hands and knees. So coming over to hands and knees and really feeling as the hands connect to the earth, this sense of earth rippling through the body. We'll come into a twist for the upper back. So please thread the left arm through the mat. Left ear comes all the way down, or you'll place a block underneath the left ear. And the right arm can either very gently stretch out in front, or if you have the space, right arm comes around and behind to hold of the top of the left hip. Allowing the inhale to be a receiving breath. Exhale, a relaxing, softening breath. Take 2 more breaths. And then slowly release the right arm, right palm back to the mat. Unravel the left palm. Sit left hand back to floor. We'll come to the other side, threading the right arm through. Really feeling the whole right side of the head completely supported by earth. And so the left arm can either just very gently be stretching forwards, or if it would feel nice, you can bring that left arm all the way around and behind. Begin to feel the presence and the resonance of your breath. Feel the entire body. With every breath. 2 more. And then slowly we'll meet back in a tabletop position. Take your time. 2 palms, return back to the mat, and then continuing to move a little on hands and knees. And you might arch and round the spine, these cat and cow stretches, or you might start to feel the body wanting to move in more unstructured, non-linear kinds of ways. So the invitation right now is simply to let whatever you're feeling be translated into the movement. And then staying on hands and knees, please step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. So left foot to outside of left hand. And if this feels a little kind of tight and you have 2 blocks, you could now bring hands to blocks, and it's going to keep moving here a little. So you could swivel the hips forwards and backwards, from side to side. You might even include a little bit of movement through the neck and the head, just like the neck and the head were limbs, like arms and legs. But if you've come out of the bend of the left knee, slowly rebend the knee. Right hand stays to the mat, left arm to sky, a really gentle twist. Have the gaze in any way that feels really spacious for the neck. And you'll either stay here or now reach the left arm to the back of the room, bend the right knee, left hand takes hold of the pinky toe side of the back foot. If you have that bind, really press the foot away as the heart spins up into space. So nourishing breath in. Slow release breath out, left hand back to the floor. Left knee steps back. You can take a moment to swivel the hips. And then we'll come to the other side as you're ready, stepping the right foot outside of right hand. And then some moments to simply set the body into motion. You might notice if this right side feels a little different to left. And then rebending the right knee. If you've come out of the bend, left hand stays anchored, right arm unravels through space. Let the back line of the body settle back to space. And then staying here or reaching the right arm back, bending the left knee, right hand to the outer blade of left foot, and then pressing the foot away, curling the heart back. Loving breath in. Slow release breath out, right hand back to the floor. It's a downward facing dog. Meet in a downward facing dog. And as you arrive into your first downward facing dog, it might feel nice to just continue to move and undulate the body here. You might like to lift both heels, bend both knees, and swivel the hips a little from side to side. You can shake the head yes or no a few times. I spoke on Tuesday about this practice of orientating to what feels good. And we can do that in every shape and every asana. What kind of micro movements or what kind of stillness would just feel really sweet and sustaining. And then eventually we'll settle a few breaths in stillness here. As the forearms gently hug towards each other, can you feel the upper arms now rotate away from the ears, so there's a broadening through the back of the heart. Then keeping that, letting the back of the neck soften. Take a deep breath in, side out, breath out. One more, inhale. Let something go on the out breath. The end of that breath, please step forwards and we'll meet in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Take as much time as you need to get there. As you keep the knees soft, please interlace the hands behind your back. And you could keep the hands resting on the lower back, or you could start to lift the fist of the palm up towards the ceiling. Knees are soft enough so you begin to feel the nectar of your heart pour out through the column of neck and then all the way out through the skull. Staying folded, slowly unclasp hands, hands to shins or mat. On an inhale, lengthen halfway, and then fold back to ground as you breathe out. 2 more times, inhale, heart leads, face follows. Dripping back over legs, breath out. 1 more, inhale. Folding, exhale. Grounding through feet, inhale, slowly come up to standing, like you were channeling earth as the arms reach up. And then palms meet at heart center, breath out. And take some rounds of Surya Namaskar A together. On an inhale, please float the arms up. And then folding breath out, let the breath just slide down the spine. A halfway lift as you inhale. Please step into a plank as you breathe out. And let's stay and breathe here. You're very welcome to bring the knees down. And as you stay and breathe, feeling the back of the heart and the back of head magnetize up towards the ceiling. That's another breath in. Lower all the way to belly, breath out. Option for knees down first. Pelvis stays grounded, cobra as you inhale, back of heart leads. And then yielding back to earth, breath out. 2 more times, inhale. Releasing, breath out. Yes, 1 more time, heart leads, face follows. And letting the body be caught by the earth as you breathe out. It's downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, at the end of your next exhalation, please step or gently float to the top of the mat. As you arrive at the top, let the in-breath lengthen you. And the out-breath folding you as you bow over legs. Arms reach up, breath in. Pausing to heart, breath out. And take 2 more rounds, inhale, reach up. It's folding to the ground, breath out. Heart ripples forwards, inhale. Please step back into plank as you exhale. Let's take a gentle breath in. And then lower as you breathe out, could be halfway or all the way. Inhale, either cobra or upward facing dog. And then we meet back together in a downward facing dog. As you stay and take some breaths in downward facing dog, really feeling on the inhale, drinking energy from hands and feet all the way up to the heart. As you exhale, heart releases down through the limbs. 1 more time, inhale, breathing the arms and legs to heart. Exhale, heart releases down through the limbs. End of that breath, step or float to the top. Use the inhale to rebound the spine forwards. And then exhale as you fold. Arms to sky, inhale. Back to heart. Again, inhale, arms lift like they grew from the heart. Drifting to ground as you breathe out. A halfway lift on the in-breath. Step to plank on the out breath and continue to lower now on that same out breath. Let the inhale curl you up, heart lifts up through the canopy of head, equally back through the legs. And where we meet is in a downward facing dog. The sense of heart energy pouring through the whole of the body. Staying in downward facing dog, inhale the right leg up and back, a three-legged dog. And as you breathe out, hug knee to nose, back of heart lifts up. Again, inhale, right leg slides up and back. Knee to nose, breath out. And then gaze forward, step in between the hands. As earth catches the right foot, inhale, arms all the way up, high crescent lunge. And then let's take a few moments to settle here. The inner thighs gently hug together. Just feeling space through the inside of the mouth, the fingertips soft and at ease. Let's bring the palms to meet at heart center. Start to shift weight forwards into the right foot. We're coming into aeroplane pose. So on an inhale, lifting the left leg up, heart reaches forwards, left foot extends back. It's like there were little parachutes on the back of you, lifting the back of you up. Take a deep breath in, standing splits breath out. So now folding over the right leg. You can bend the right knee as much as you need. You could have hands to 1 or 2 blocks. The outer left hip wrapping towards the floor. Now feeling the top of the head dripping to right toes. Start to bend into the right knee. It's warrior 2. So left foot lands to the back of the mat. Good. On an inhale, arms reach forwards and back. You might want to take a moment to look at the feet and see if there's any adjustments that you need to make so that you feel really steady and grounded. Sense of the arms and the hands reaching from the very center of heart. Then take an inhale to straighten the right leg. As you exhale, spin the right foot parallel to the top of the mat. Then bring the hands to the heart. Now turn the toes out and the heels in. So coming into a goddess squat. And we're gonna add Garudasana wrap with the arms. So on an inhale, reach the arms wide. And as you exhale, right arm wraps on top and around. If this feels too much, you could have the backs of the palms, or you could just hold the backs of the shoulders, or you could do something else. Take a few moments to breathe through the back of the heart. And you might be in stillness, or now it might feel nice to start to take a little bit of movement here. So just letting the body sway a little from side to side. You could stay upright. You might even explore movement until eventually the fingertips brush towards the ground. But there's absolutely no right or wrong way to do this. And letting yourself be guided by simply what feels good. By simply what would feel good and nourishing right now. If you've come all the way down, then very slowly you'll make the journey back up. That's it. And then take an inhale to straighten both legs. Back into warrior 2, facing the front. So the right toes face the front, that's it. And then from warrior 2, it's side angle. So I'm gonna do the modified version, the forearm to thigh, but you're also welcome to bring the right hand to the mat or a block. From the core of your pelvis, can you extend all the way out through the very top of their head? The shoulders soften down the back. As you exhale, 2 hands to the floor, left heel to the sky, right arm to sky, open twist. This is a perfect place to stay, or you can now spin onto the outer edges of both feet. So hips are low, right arm reaches back. And as you inhale, hips lift up, right arm arcs over. Exhale to lower. You'll either just take a few rounds pulsing like that, or you could just stay in stillness. And eventually on an exhale, right hand reconnects to the floor. You have a choice of vinyasa. Where we meet is together in a downward facing dog. And on the inhale, the heart lifts up through the head, but equally back through the legs. That's it. And then we meet in a downward facing dog. As you drink in your next in-breath, left leg slides up and back. I slowly knee to nose, breath out, shift the shoulders forwards. Again, inhale, left leg all the way up and back. Knee to nose, breath out. Gaze forwards, lovingly step forwards. As earth catches left foot, inhale to follow that line of earth all the way up. Palms meet in front of heart. We're getting ready to shift into aeroplane pose, so shifting the weight forward. You could start to walk the right foot in, and then on an inhale, the right leg lifts up as the heart extends forwards. Muscles of both legs really hugging to bone. It's another breath in. Standing splits breath out, folding over the left leg. So you can bend that left knee a lot here. And then rather than face to shin, can you think top of head, relaxing to the left toes. Now it's warrior two. So you'll bend the left knee, allow earth to catch the right foot. That's it. And notice if you're locking the elbows, what happens if you just find a little more softness? And inhale to straighten the left leg as you exhale, foot parallel. Bring the hands to hearts. I'm going to spin and face you guys because I don't want my back to you for so long. And then back into that goddess squat. I see a beautiful doggy. They can inhale to reach the arms wide. Other side, I believe the left on top and around. Or the backs of shoulders. And so you'll be in stillness or just continuing to take some motion here. Orientating to movement that feels good. Like it really can be just that simple. You might let the top of head stretch towards the ground, so you get this sense of the head heavy like a bowling ball. That's it. And then if you're down to the floor, you'll very slowly journey and make your way up. And then an inhale to straighten both legs back into warrior two. And from here, it's side angle. So it could be forearm to thigh. It could be hand to earth or block. Right arm really sweetly reaching over the ear. And stay for the breath in. Two hands to the ground, breath out. Come onto the ball of the right foot, left arm to sky, open twist. And so you'll stay here, or option to spin onto the outer blades of the feet. So the hips are low, left arm reaches back. And then on an inhale, arcing up. And exhale, hips lower, left arm reaches back. And we'll just take a few more rounds. You might be moving like this, or you might be settled in stillness. And then eventually on an exhale, left hand slowly reconnects to ground. You could move through vinyasa, where we meet is back together in a downward facing dog. And of course, child's pose at any time. And staying in downward dog, inhale the nose, side out the mouth. Again, inhale. Let something go on the breath out. At the end of that breath, step or lightly float to the top. Halfway lift, breath in. Bow and release, breath out. Nice arms to sky on the inhale. A moment to pause back at heart on the exhale. And you could keep hands to a prayer position, or you might like to bring your hands directly over the heart. Use these few moments to bring a listening attention back to your own heart. Noticing what it feels like to offer yourself this level of attention, this kind of care. I really think the extent to which we can offer others kindness and care directly relates to the quality of our own kindness and care to ourselves. And that's really what we do at the heart of this yoga practice. As you're ready, please shift your weight into the right foot, coming into tree pose with the left. So standing on the right foot, left foot either above or below the right knee. And we'll start with the hands to heart. And you could stay facing forwards, or option to reach the arms wide and then spinning to the left. So spinning the upper body to the left, the rib halves spinning on the axis of spine. Let's inhale, come back to center, arms up, left knee forwards. Aeroplane pose second time. So for this round, you could have the arms alongside body. You could interlace hands behind your back. And we're meeting in a high lunge. So bending right knee, allow earth to capture the left toes. Let's inhale, arms all the way up. The palms to meet at heart, but now we'll twist. So inhale to lengthen as you exhale, left elbow hooking outside of the knee. You can use the gentle pressing of palms together to feel the entire spine extend forwards. And warrior two as you inhale, the arms slide forwards and back. Pressing through both feet, inhale, start to straighten the right leg, coming into Trikonasana. So you can walk the back foot in a little, right hip moving back in space. I'm going to do this with the block. And as the right hip reaches back, right arm extends forwards, and then the right hand comes to any part of the leg or block. It really allows the spine to reach forwards over that right leg. See if you can let the whole back line of the body, including the back of the head, settle into space that's behind. Bring the left hand to the hip. Gaze to the floor, half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. I'll do it with a block. So shifting the weight forwards through the right hip. And as soon as that left leg lifts, the muscles hug to bone, can reach the top arm up. And you could stay here, or option for Ardha Chandra Chipasana, sugarcane pose. So I like to bring the knee in towards me, find the foot, and then like a little starburst, curling back. Right pelvic half wraps back, soft palate curling back. If you have that bind, slowly release back into half moon. And then warrior two. One of the benefits of these film classes, I think I'm going to become really fit, guys. Right palm to sky, reverse, and we'll stay a few breaths here. You can have the gaze in any way that just feels really sweet and spacious for the neck. Take a luscious breath in. Two hands to the earth, breath out. Left heel to sky, right arm to sky, open twist. So you could stay here, or now it's Vashisthasana. So outer blade of the left foot, right leg on top. You can reach the right arm over the ear. And you feel the neck lengthen as if it actually began from the heart. As you exhale, right hand touches the ground. Your choice of flow, we meet in downward dog. Just take a few breaths in downward dog. Invitation is to just notice what might like to soften here. Perhaps it's the inside of the mouth. Perhaps it's the eyes. The end of your exhalation, step or lightly float to the top. Just allow the inhale to extend the spine and the out breath pouring you back to the ground. Rooting down to rise up. Inhale as you reach up. It's back to heart. Standing on the left foot, tree pose with the right. So right foot can be above or below the knee. And we start with the hands to heart. Shoulders just floating in space. And you could stay facing forwards, or option to reach the arms wide. And then we're spinning to the right. Spinning to the right. Inhale, come back through center, arms up, right knee forwards, aeroplane pose. Like the right foot was kind of pushing space back. Hands could be at heart, you could have arms alongside body, you could even interlace the hands behind you. And then from here, it's high lunge. So just stringing the shapes together like little pearls. Then as the toes land, let the arms rebound up. Palms now meet in front of heart. Inhale to lengthen, spinning to the left, breath out, right elbow hooking. Then notice if you're leaning the body forwards, see if you can settle back. Yeah, option to open the arms, that's most welcome. And then as you're ready, on an inhale, it's warrior two. Pressing through both feet, inhale, straighten left leg. Trikonasana, you can walk that back foot in. I like to have the right toes a little facing forwards. I'm going to do this with the block. The left hip moving back, left arm reaching forwards, and then you'll come forwards. Let's feel the neck extend out through the shoulders as the head reaches forward. Now the right hand to the hip. Gazing to the floor, pouring weight through the left leg, half moon pose. And so there's this natural shift in the hips forwards. You can reach the top arm up. You'll stay here, or sugar cane, Ardha Chandra Chipasana. You're going to like to bring the right knee in towards me, find the ankle, and then start to curl back. As the left pelvic half wraps back, soft palate curls back, so the heart has this line to extend up through the head. And then slowly release the right leg, and then warrior two. Left palm to sky, reverse, and we'll soak a few breaths here. Nice big breath in. Two hands to ground, breath out. Right heel to sky, left arm to sky, open twist. And you'll either stay here or Vashisthasana, the outer blade of the right foot, left leg long. You can now reach the top arm over the ear. Really luxuriating in this feeling of stretch through the whole left side of the body. As you exhale, left hand connects to the floor, optional flow, where we meet is downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, coming onto our back. So you could step or float to a seat and then come onto your back, or just simply bring the knees down. One of my greatest pleasures of these Zoom classes is seeing all the doggies that are joining in. And so we'll meet on our backs with the knees into chest. And just a moment to feel the sweetness of this sense of earth holding you. Really let the body soften and surrender back and down into this support. And if you haven't already, begin to take a little bit of motion across the lower back and the sacrum. I really like to have my hands separate rather than interlaced so that the legs have even more space to move. And from here, we're coming into bridge pose. As you're ready, please return the feet to the floor. The feet about hips distance apart, and you don't have to be able to touch the heels with the hands, but just the feet in that kind of direction. We stretch the arms alongside the body, and as you press through the feet and the hands, inhale, lifting lower back, middle back, upper back, so that the whole spine lifts up. You could keep the arms alongside body, or option to interlace the hands underneath you as you come right onto the tips of the shoulders. And if you're taking that option, can you have the elbows pressing into the mat rather than the pinky fingers? Keep a softness through the joint space of the arms. In these final moments, really allowing breath to be felt through the heart. So the in-breath, also the out-breath. If your hands are interlaced, you'll very slowly release that. As you exhale, lower upper back, middle back, lower back, the sacrum. This moment to let earth receive the whole weight of you. Let's take a few moments of pause. You could stay as you are, or you could walk the feet as wide as the mat and let the knees fall in together. You could bring the arms into a T shape side to side. And you might stay in stillness, or you might like to let the knees gently fall from side to side. You have opportunity for one final back bend this morning. So you could repeat bridge pose. You could come into full wheel, Urdhva Dhanurasana, and I'll cue that in a moment. I won't do it because I'd like to be able to walk out of here in one piece. And you could also come into Supta Bandha Konasana, the soles of the feet together, the knees to the side. So I'm going to cue through my verbal instructions, Urdhva Dhanurasana. That's it. So if you're coming into Urdhva, the hands alongside the ears. On an inhale, lift just to the crown of the head, and then pause there a moment, plug the head of the arm bones back into sockets, and now inhale, lift the head, straighten the arms. That's it. If you're in full wheel, can you let the front of the throat release completely, heart moving to the back of the room, tailbone to the front. Beautiful. And if you're in full Urdhva, you can start to soften the chin in towards you. And on an exhale, we'll all lower, upper, middle, lower back, sacrum. That's it, earth receiving the whole weight of you. Bring the knees together, the feet wide, arms side to side, and just letting the knees really sweetly fall from side to side. Might feel nice to let the knees fall to one side and stay there for a few breaths. And coming back to center and the other side, a few breaths. And as you breathe here, notice if there's some grip or clench in the belly, and see if you can let this next breath be received into a softening belly. And eventually hug the knees back into chest. Lifting the feet off the floor, you can take a little bit of motion across the lower back. And if it would feel nice for the spine, you could start to roll up and down a few times. And then eventually all the way up and over to hands and knees. And then we'll meet in a downward dog. And if you'd like to move through a flow, you're of course welcome to. In downward dog, you could lift the heels, bend the knees, and just swivel the hips a little from side to side. Just feeling the thigh bones sliding and gliding a little. And then eventually from downward facing dog, please inhale the right leg up to the sky. Coming into pigeon pose as you breathe out, the right knee comes behind the right wrist and the foot behind the left. See if you can extend the left leg back a little so you get a little weightier through the pelvis. Always option for a block or support underneath the right buttock. And as you're ready, we'll come forwards. Instead of just a like complete collapse, it's this feeling that as you offer yourself to the earth, earth comes up and rebounds up to support you. If anyone is doing this at home and this isn't comfortable, I'll show you the version on your back. So you'll come onto your back and cross the right shin on top of the left knee. So as we arrive back into stillness, using that stillness as the backdrop to the sweet movement of breath. Sensing that sacred stream of in-breath and out-breath. Let's continue like that. In these final moments in this shape, you might like to do a little scan through the body. And just noticing if there's any places that are very obviously tight or tense. Could you simply imagine some of that tightness softening? Now let's take 3 more breaths. Every breath inviting deeper softening and letting go. After your 3 breaths on an inhale, just slowly start to walk the hands back towards you. And back into downward dog, and you might like to first come to hands and knees and perhaps take a little bit of movement there. And then eventually downward dog. And then an inhale to slide the left leg up. Pigeon pose, breath out. The left knee behind the left wrist and the foot behind the right. And right leg extending backwards so you get kind of weighty and heavy through pelvis. As you're ready, pouring your whole self forwards. And I'll show you the version if you're coming onto your back. It's crossing the left shin on top of the right knee. So the reason that I think it's really a practice to look for goodness and to remember kindness is because, particularly in times of stress, it's actually not the way that our brains are hardwired. Like, it's in our DNA when we feel stressed to focus on what's wrong. And it's not our fault. Yeah, it's just the way that the brain is hardwired. But the good news is that our brains have this plastic quality. And the more that we practice something, the more that we encourage that as a new way of being. So as we choose intentionally to focus on kindness, on care, on the things that really soothe and bathe our heart, that can become our way of being. And that becomes contagious too. Other people do that too. So in the next half minute or so, we're going to meet on our backs with the knees into chest, but there's absolutely no hurry to get there. So you might like to just bathe and luxuriate in pigeon pose a little longer. If you wish for one final downward dog or one final vinyasa, you're so welcome to take that. Or from pigeon pose, you might just roll to the left. Use the right hand to guide the right leg forwards. And so where we're coming is onto our back and knees into chest. And it's not quite Shavasana time yet, but that's soon. So you might want to use this as the time to pop on any layers of clothing or socks. And then we'll meet on our backs with the knees into chest. Please keep the right knee in as you stretch the left leg long. The left heel comes all the way down. The right knee stays hugging in. Just take a few breaths here. You could experiment with moving the right knee a little out to the right and then back into center and across. So just these little micro movements. And then from here, we're coming into a hamstring stretch. Please interlace the hands behind the back of the right hamstring and then stretch the right foot up towards the sky. Rather than draw the leg in towards you, you're actually pressing the hamstring away from the body into the hands, and the hands just gently press back. Now rebend the right knee, hug it back into chest. And so now we're twisting. You can release the right arm to the floor. Use the left hand to just cajole the right leg across. And depending on where you're wanting to feel this stretch this morning, if you have the right knee kind of lower and away from you, it's more of a twist through the lower back. And if you bring the knee a little higher up, you'll probably feel it more through the middle back. Please take 3 more loving, kind breaths. And an inhale to come back to center. Please bring both knees back into chest. You can take a little bit of motion between sides. Left knee hugs in, allow the right leg to extend long. So bring that heel all the way down. And just a few breaths here, you could experiment with widening that left knee out to the left. You could bring it just a little across the body. And then eventually hands wrap behind the left hamstring as you reach the left foot up. A few breaths here. Let the lower jaw soften away from upper jaw. The sense of the back bottom teeth moving away from the back teeth, the upper teeth. And slowly rebend that left knee, draw it back in. Now we twist. Left arm to the floor, right hand guiding left leg across the body. In these final moments here, letting your awareness move through that flow of breath up and down the whole left side of the body. As if this body was a beautiful vase. And with every breath, we could just pour ourselves back in. Pour ourselves back in. And then inhale to slowly come back to center, the knees back into chest. And you could stay with the knees hugging into chest. You might like to come into happy baby pose. And that could be holding either the outer blades of feet, or could be the ankles or the calves. It might feel nice to just rock a little bit across the pelvis. And if there's any other movement you'd like to take before Shavasana, you're so welcome to do that. And then as you're ready, it's Shavasana. And so if you're not quite there yet, if there's some final shapes you'd like to take, then just go ahead and do that. Yeah, and then you'll just join us as you're ready. And it's chilly this morning, so please make sure that you're warm and snug. And you come into Shavasana. So as you arrive onto your back, you can go ahead and let the legs and the feet be a little bit wider than the hips. If your arms are very close to your sides, maybe you experiment with the arms just a little further away. You really feel all the skin of your back softening and releasing down. Feeling all of the muscles relaxing. Allow your bones to get really heavy now. can just allow all the natural movements of mind to just flow in and flow out. You let yourself rest now as this very spacious, very loving, open awareness. And let your whole body rest now. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Allow your next breath to be a little bit deeper. If you have the time and you'd like to stay longer in Shavasana, then please go ahead and do so. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you're starting to invite really small movement back in. Reawaken through fingers and toes. As you're ready to transition, you can slowly bend the knees and roll to one side. And just taking some final moments in a fetal-like position. You can let the underarm be like a pillow to support your head. And then in your own time, we'll meet back together in a seat. You could either bring the hands to a prayer position, or you might like to bring one or two hands directly over your own heart. So to conclude, I offer one of my favorite quotes that comes from Mother Teresa. She says that we can't all do great things, but we can all do small things with great love. With great love. So to all the small acts of kindness and compassion that offer us hope and love and comfort, we bow to that. Namaste. Thank you.